And at 10, Ambush Bug. Ambush Bug is just an all-around terrible character, okay? His real name is supposedly Erwin Schwab, but he has mental problems that prevent him from truly understanding the reality around him, so even his true identity might be no more than a delusion on his part. His origin is also disputed, although the most commonly accepted origin is that Brum-El of the planet Schwab sent his clothes from his supposedly doomed planet, hoping that his wardrobe would survive, only to have it intercepted by a giant radioactive space spider. In the resulting crash, only 2 articles of clothing survived, one being the ambush bug suit, which was subsequently found by Erwin. His powers include the ability to teleport at will, which is never explained, and the uncanny ability to annoy everyone around him, even more than me talking about the Hulk on this channel. This guy also started out as a supervillain, and the original pitch, according to the creator, Keith Griffin, the same man who created Lobo and Blue Beetle, was, quote, Bugs Bunny as a villain. And I think that says it all.
Number 9. Tasmanian Devil. The Hulk. Wolfsbane. Beast Boy. Characters that change into beasts are awesome, depending what they turn into. So when Hugh Dawkins turns into a were-Tasmanian devil, it's just not what anyone was looking for. While it may seem super fitting for the Australian to turn into a marsupial, and while he may look somewhat cool, I don't know. For some reason, he has a giant T naturally appearing on his chest when he transforms, just to make sure you know that he is not a wolf, but specifically a Tasmanian devil, because if he was a wolf, then he'd just be another werewolf character, and he's way cooler than that. He's a were-Tasmanian devil, and that's cool, Mom!
Oh, hold on, before we go on with the video, okay? You gotta come over to the new channel, my new channel, Minecraft Nightmare, okay? Look, scary Minecraft all the time. I know it sounds weird, but trust me, it's fun, okay? So come do it. Minecraft Nightmare. Link is in the description, I hope. And at 8, Nort. Some of us love an animal-themed superhero. Others love an animal-human hybrid superhero. However, those who find themselves to be fans of Squirrel Girl might not know about what is probably one of the worst DC equivalents, Nort, with a G. Originally a member of the Green Lantern Corps, which doesn't really mean much since there is literally a Green Lantern that is just a planet, Nort eventually became a member of the Justice League Antarctica, which by name alone indicates how meaningless it is in the overall JL hierarchy. And while his character may have been made as a joke, being stupid and incompetent by trade, it is still surprising just how bad he truly is. I mean, he's a red dog human, for God's sakes. Like, how do you come up with this design? Who thought that this would be a good idea?
Number 7, I Vampire. I mean, it's me, so of course I'm going to want a vampire on the team. Of course I am. And what better vampire hero than Andrew Bennett? Basically, I feel like a lot of my ideas for who should actually be on the Justice League, if I were making a Justice League team with people that hadn't been on it yet, are informed by Justice League Dark. I guess I just want the JLD to be declared more mainstream by being our JLA team. Andrew Bennett has also been known as the Lord of the Vampires before, although not all vampires recognize his sovereignty. This doesn't change how powerful he is, even alone as a character. Bennett is immortal, can heal, is super strong and fast, can manipulate and control minds, can shapeshift into animals, and is even skilled at wielding magic. Later on in his history, but still. Also, after the disrespect of dying pretty much immediately in DC vs. Vampires when attempting to warn the heroes, I think he deserves a spot on the JLA just for that injustice. Like, I mean, it's DC vs. Vampires. What do? You kill one of the most prominent vampires straight out of the gate? Ugh, so disrespectful.
And at 6, Blue Jay. Jay Abrams, known as the crime fighter Blue Jay, first appeared in Justice League of America number 87 in February of 1971, and was made as an homage to the Marvel character of Yellow Jacket. However, while Yellow Jacket had an explanation for his powers, Blue Jay didn't. He could shrink to 7 inches tall for reasons, and he could grow wings for more reasons. Seriously though, these reasons are never explained, and having no explanation is worse than the yellow sun giving him power. Having no explanation is worse than nanotech, for God's sake. Having no explanation is worse than Catman from Fairly Odd Parents. Blue Jay is just Hawkman with a stupid mystery, and that's not something I tend to enjoy, okay? It's freaking ridiculous. The lack of explanation as to how this man has the powers he does, and why, is ironically enough the reason he's on the list.
Number 5, Supergirl. It's funny, when I look up how powerful is Supergirl, I found more stuff about how she isn't more powerful than Superman, as if saying that Kara Zor-El is stronger than Kal-El is insulting their own masculinity. Kara is technically older than Kal is, and she also never learned to hold back, meaning she goes in with 100% effort. This made her appear to be much stronger than Superman when she showed up on the scene, but Superman has been absorbing the rays of our sun much longer, meaning he inherently has more power and more knowledge of how to use it, and his ancestry makes him just better than most other Kryptonians. That's the same reason, or part of the reason, why he was stronger than Zod. So now all the Superman stans can just like chill out for a sec. Supergirl has the potential to have all the exact same abilities that Superman does, but at a lower level, which still makes her insanely capable and one of the strongest beings in the universe. She has fought Barry Allen pretty successfully, obviously not trying to hurt him though. She put up a decent fight against Wonder Woman, though she still got kinda destroyed, and beat the snot out of Cyborg Superman, and then there is Power Girl, the Earth 2 counterpart of Supergirl, who seems to be even stronger.
In at 4, Godiva. Dora Lee is the British superhero Godiva and a member of the Justice League International. And her power? Prehensile hair. Sometimes called psychokinetic hair, prehensile hair is a term used to describe the ability of some characters to move their hair in impossible ways, kind of like a tail. Not only can the character move their hair, but they can also use it to wrap up opponents, knock out armored thugs, and contend with larger enemies. But you know what? That isn't even enough for me to consider her a decent Justice League International member, okay? Because like, what? Basically, this is Rapunzel so blasted out that she whips her hair back and forth like Willow Smith and thinks that she's controlling her hair with her mind. Her power reminds me of how like every single time you're trying to cuddle up with a girl, but like no matter what, you always have hair in your face and it's never comfortable because there's at least one strand of hair is always comfortably on your face, but you're not comfortable. The hair is comfortable, but you're not.
Number 3, Queen Nubia. Nubia may have just had her coronation in the comics, becoming the queen of the Amazons officially, but she could still maybe carve out some time for the Justice League. Or you know, at least if she doesn't have time now, perhaps later she might be able to get away for a bit and join them. After all, Hippolyta and Wonder Woman have both been members of the team, so I'm wondering where Nubia's invite is. Nubia, like her sisters, is a fierce warrior and a skillful leader. We also learned she enjoys playing music to pass the time as well in the preview for The Adventures of Young Diana, as seen in the Wonder Woman 80th Anniversary 100-page Super Spectacular. What I'm saying is, Nubia rocks.
And ultimately, in at number 2, Batman. Yeah, that's right, I'm calling out your glorious Batman, so pipe down for a second, okay? It's my turn. While being one of the founding members of the League, Batman has had some serious trust issues that bring down the team. Mostly I'm talking about his whole various plans to bring down the members if they end up going rogue thing. An understandable concept in theory, but I mean it doesn't really go over well considering how Ra's al Ghul steals the plans and then puts them into action. While yes, he isn't as bad as some of the other characters on this list in their contexts, in this context, he really does screw up. I mean, if they weren't the protagonists and their deaths wouldn't result in the loss of millions of dollars for DC, they would not have been able to stop Ra's from wiping out every League member and just taking the whole League off the board. Let's be realistic here, okay? Batman may be good at what he does, but he's not a good teammate. Batman is amazing at whatever he's doing at the time, unless that thing is being on a team, in which case he kinda sucks. And it's, you know what, he's one of the worst Justice League members because of this. Get mad all you want. Deep down, you know I'm right.
Number 1, Mistech. More like mistake. Look guys, I know it was a bad joke, okay? Everyone here told me it was a bad joke. I'm trying to do better. I will do better, okay? I'm sorry. Everyone loves a comeback story. When Mistech, a woman named Seong Barclay, first came on the scene, she was a pretty low-tiered villain. She wore the armor of her late father, which gave her a masculine-looking physique while in the suit, and she had energy-projecting abilities. Eventually, Martian Manhunter recruited Mistech for his Justice League task force, which, I mean, how could she say no? Maybe if she took into account her claustrophobia. Superheroing doesn't necessarily bring you into confined spaces, that's fair. But when there is a possibility of being put into a spacecraft and going off into space, that's when things get a little problematic. And it's what they did when the Justice League task force had to go into space and Mistech panicked. she shot a hole in the craft and got sucked out into space, ending her short-lived membership on the Justice League Task Force. I almost feel bad for her. Not really, almost. Number 10, Constantine, or Constantine, or whatever you want to say. John Constantine is a really fun inclusion for this list because he is extremely powerful and not powerful at all at the same time. John can wield magic for sure through years and years of learning, training, traveling, but he doesn't have any kind of magical affinity or any kind of beneficial magical family heritage. John relies on actual magic as a very last resort, and the magic he knows how to use isn't anything to scoff at. He has even, very momentarily, been able to hold back Dr. Fate, but using magic comes at a cost and he knows this. So what Constantine prefers is trickery, lies, deceit, traps, his wits, weapons, artifacts, backup, and calling in favors. John smokes. He drinks, he's in his middle ages, and he ain't in the greatest of health. He can throw a punch for sure, but most people are a physical match for him. But at the same time, he has been able to trick, outsmart, or overpower gods, demons, and angels, Batman, Superman, Darkseid, Swamp Thing, Dr. Fate, the Phantom Stranger, the Spirit of Justice, the Spectre, who's the Spirit of Vengeance, Lucifer, and even the Presence, who is basically DC's version of God. He tricked the Presence into curing John of cancer and granting him divine protection by selling his soul to 3 separate Hell Lords who would start a civil war over his soul, which would spill out onto Earth and into heaven. You don't sleep on this bad-mouthed middle-aged man. Number 9, I, Vampire. In comparison to most of the other characters who have made this list, Andrew Bennett as a vampire is kinda squishy. Vampires are practically indestructible and can regenerate any damage done by consuming blood. They have superhuman strength, speed, reflexes, stamina, can transform into bats, wolves, rats, and mist, and have enhanced senses and a bit of psychokinesis. But despite that, they have some major weaknesses that pretty much everyone is aware of, with a big one being the frickin' sun, unless they can find a way to temporarily make themselves immune. But for iVampire, he has a peculiar ability to eventually automatically revive himself after he is killed, even if he becomes a pile of ash from the sun. He has even survived the end of the universe. Now, this ability is a bit of a mystery even to Bennett himself. When he survived the end of the universe, it was at the will of the Presence, leading some to believe that this may be true in all cases, but that's not actually confirmed. The point here is that he is literally unstoppable because he will always just come back. Is it cheating? I don't know, maybe, but if it is, then our next spot absolutely is cheating. Number 8, Deadman. While iVampire will come back from the dead every time, Deadman is already dead, and therefore pretty much can't be touched except by magical artifacts or magical beings, but even then he can usually give them a good beating. Boston Brand is a ghost. Sorry. Giving him some pretty limited abilities like intangibility, flight, and invisibility, plus a little bit of dimensional travel, which is a bit more useful. But where he truly becomes powerful is in his ability to possess other people. Now, of course, this ability isn't always reliable because there always needs to be some kind of challenge to nerf an ability like this. Batman, for example, is a struggle because of his incredibly strong mind, and there are a lot of strong-minded individuals in comic books. Plus, he can't control people who have already been hypnotized or who are immune to being possessed, like the Spectre. But there are still quite a few extremely powerful characters who he could potentially, and has, possessed. Judy Moon, the Enchantress, Swamp Thing plus the Green, Pantheon, who is an elder god, and the multiversal entity known as the House of Mystery have all been possessed by Deadman. But there's no reason he couldn't possess Superman, Wonder Woman, and a large variety of other heroes and villains. Number 7, Faith. When the original Justice League was teleported thousands of years into the past, a new Justice League was formed, and Faith was one of those premier members. Only she was more like the member. See, the problem with Faith was that she solved pretty much any problem. She would almost always show up with some new power that was exactly what the League needed at the time. When she was part of a Black Ops team before the Justice League, she was literally nicknamed the Fat Lady. She ain't fat. It was a reference to the saying, "It ain't over till the fat lady sings," because literally whenever she showed up, the fight was over. So then what's the point of having a team at all? Fans found her boring, and she was basically just a plot device. A waste of a powerful character if you ask me. Number 6. Aquaman. The ocean is a genuinely terrifying and interesting place. As such, the Atlanteans of DC Comics possess a few advantages over us regular humans. They have super strength, speed, endurance, and durability, all in order to help them survive the mind-boggling pressure at the insane depths of the ocean at which they live. But Aquaman himself is a royal Atlantean, which means that he is a super Atlantean. His strength and durability has allowed him to close the Marianas Trench, go toe-to-toe with powerful foes like Martian Manhunter, Lobo, and Wonder Woman, and tank blasts from Starro. His speed, which is often forgotten about, allows him to swim at 10,000 feet per second, and he can move even faster without the pressure or drag of water, allowing him to dodge bullets and catch lasers. But Aquaman has quite a few other advantages. His control over sea life has helped him in a large majority of his fights, with his underwater allies coming to his aid and helping him do things he probably couldn't do alone, like creating a massive tsunami with whales. His telepathic skill is actually quite impressive as well. Some of my favorite feats include him telepathically controlling a Green Lantern ring, reading the Martian Manhunter's mind without permission, and controlling a space dragon. Now for a while he had a hand that was a hook and then became a magical mystical water hand that could do a whole other level of feats, but I'm out of time so we're moving on.
Number 5. Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing is Alec Holland, or more specifically, Swamp Thing was Alec Holland before he was dissolved in essence in a swamp with his consciousness living on and merging with the swamp to create something new, an avatar of the green known as Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing is crazy powerful, and I don't think they get enough attention and respect from comic book fans in general. He's always been a character that I found fascinating, and I think as such that he would make a great addition to the Justice League team. Sure, Swamp Thing has been on the Justice League United team, Justice League Dark, and is part of the Justice League Reserves, but he's never been a member of the full-blown JLA, and I think there is a lot that he would have to offer on that team. Also, like I said, I do kind of just want a Justice League Dark to be the JLA.
Number 4. Swamp Thing. Alec Holland was a chemist and botanist who spent most of his efforts creating a chemical formula that could increase the growth speed of plants and even let plants grow in abnormal places. Unfortunately for Alec, the lab he was working in was sabotaged and he passed away in the ensuing explosion and fire while running out into the swamp where his lab resided. Since his body was covered in the formula he created, his consciousness was absorbed by the plant life of the swamp. In a new human-like plant body, Alec rose as the Swamp Thing. Alec was now an earth elemental and avatar of the green, essentially a god of plants. With unimaginable levels of superhuman strength, durability, and inability to feel pain, regeneration from plant life, he can move at the speed of light, alter his size drastically, shapeshift to allow himself to have other abilities like flight, he can duplicate himself, has chlorokinesis or control over plants, which allows him to teleport through plant life, as well as, and thanks to his connection to the green, he can even move through time and possesses cosmic awareness. He's taken control of all the algae on Earth to remove most of Earth's oxygen in a show of strength. He's taken hits from and even restrained Superman and knocked the wind out of Wonder Woman. Swamp Thing is one of the more interesting heroes that DC has, and he deserves more respect on his name. Number 3. Maxima. Maxima. You had the potential. You see, Maxima had a power set that put her on par with the likes of Superman. She was also an alien from the planet Almerac. The problem with Maxima doesn't come from her powers or anything like that. No, see, the problem with Maxima is that her planet's population is dwindling, and her #1 goal is to find a man to do the repopulating with. Seeing Superman as the perfect mate, she goes after him only to be turned down, leading her to join a Superman revenge-based team and then join the Justice League to try and seduce him. Surprisingly, it didn't work, and she would turn her sights on Captain Atom and then Amazing Man. And then she bit the dust thanks to Brainiac. She could have been someone. She could have been a contender. Number 2, Dr. Fate. I honestly thought Dr. Fate was just a part of the Justice Society and not the Justice League, but I was wrong, and I'll admit that. So, while he should have been in part 1, he is making part 2. Hate on me in the comments if you want, I literally don't care. One of the first magic-wielding superheroes ever, Dr. Fate debuted in 1940, way before Doctor Strange. Technically, Dr. Fate is a name used by the wearers of the Helmet of Fate Fate, which was created by the powerful sorcerer Nabu, along with the Amulet of Anubis and the Cloak of Destiny. When Nabu passed away, his spirit was absorbed into these items, allowing him to live on through his hosts. Now, while Kent Nelson was the first, characters like Inza Kramer, Jared Stevens, Khalid Nassour, and a few others have wielded the powers of Dr. Fate throughout history, inhabiting the Tower of Fate and fighting magical threats. The Helmet of Fate itself grants the hero their vast magical powers, which include reality manipulation, matter manipulation, and time traveling, among many other abilities, plus the knowledge to cast spells that can do even more. And in at number 1 is Lobo. Lobo is basically what would happen if you took Marvel's Wolverine and Deadpool and smacked them together, added a pinch of the Punisher, and then made him as strong and tough as Superman and coated him in Gene Simmons face paint from the band Kiss. Now, as with all characters' feats, we need to take it with a pinch of salt, because this Zarnian in one story was able to take out the New Gods, who are all ridiculously powerful, but in the same story, he was captured and restrained by 3 Green Lanterns. He's been able to knock out Superman, regenerate himself from a pool of blood, has been deemed immortal and banned from both heaven and hell. He can track anyone he has met across the galaxy, is immune to psychic attacks, he's a genius, can break the 4th wall, can possess others, speaks 17,000 languages, can clone himself using his blood, can travel time and space with his motorcycle, and in one story, he literally takes out every single superhero, and man, he punched Santa's head off. That's just messed up. Lobo is almost completely unstoppable, and for some reason, he was very briefly part of the Justice League.
Number 10, Dexter. I just love Dexter so much and would really love to see this Red Lantern character fleshed out and developed even more as a part of the Justice League. Dexter has been around since the New Earth continuity and is a Red Lantern from Earth who is, yes, a house cat. Get over it. I don't know why I said that, like everyone's gonna be like, really Amanda, a house cat? I know y'all like cats. I know some of you like cats. Let me know, are you a cat or a dog person? Let me know in the comments. Dexter was chosen to be a Red Lantern after a really sad story where their owner was murdered and then they themselves ended up a victim as they were tossed into a sack and then thrown off a bridge into the river below. But don't worry, Dexter got saved and became a Red Lantern. Dexter's main goal in life is to find the murderer of his owner and avenge her death. Dexter initially was presented as more of a villainous character, but in the Prime Earth continuity is less villainous and more neutral, I'd say. Sure, he's not against killing, I mean, he is a Red Lantern, but he's also such a good kitty. It's hard to hate him despite all his own hatred for, you know, people out there that do bad things. In the Prime Earth continuity, Dexter also managed to ally with the Justice League Odyssey team, but not the JLA as of yet. Although Justice League Odyssey is also a super cool and weird team that I love, and yeah, you should check them out. Number 9, Harley Quinn. Okay, sure, so is Black Adam right about the fact that Harles will probably end up stabbing you in the back? Maybe. But she also happens to have some of the greatest plot armor of any character around. Over the years, Harley has been evolving, moving from being the Joker's sidekick to a somewhat reluctant anti-hero to a full-on bona fide superhero, or at least, you know, almost a superhero at this point, I'd say. As of now, she's even considered part of the Bat family, an ally that Bats can rely on. So I mean, she might betray ya, but she'd still definitely be a fun one to read in the JLA series. I know I would be more inclined to read some Justice League if Harley was on the team, I'm just saying. And I think eventually as time continues to move forward, she'll become even more and more reliable as a hero. Probably. Maybe. Either way, she'll always be fun to read, so. You can't take that away from her, I don't think. And friends, before we move on to the next spot, if you are loving this list and you want to show some love for us on another platform, you can head on over to Facebook where you can give us a like and a follow, because that's what you do on Facebook. Number 8, Captain Carrot. This might seem like a joke pick, and I mean, it kind of is, but also I actually like Captain Carrot, and I want to read more about his adventures. And one of the ways I can ensure I get more Captain Carrot action would be to get him on the Justice League. I mean, when DC was doing their round robin this year, I was legitimately hoping we'd actually get to see Carrot's team up with Darkseid. How weird and cool would that be? I was so here for that comic. Sadly though, no, not a thing we're getting. Almost no support for Captain Carrot. I am apparently alone in being a Captain Carrot fan. I wave my sad Captain Carrot flag all alone. For those unaware, Captain Carrot is a superpowered rabbit, known originally in the New Earth continuity as Roger Rabbit before being renamed as Rodney in the Prime Earth continuity, for probably the fact, you know, we're kind of have a Roger Rabbit that is prominent. He hails from Earth 26, which is populated by other cartoon animals, some of whom join Rodney in his fight against crime as superheroes. And it's a very cartoony reality, so cartoon physics apply, which means that Captain Carrot's also pretty powerful, I'm just saying. Cartoon physics are some of the most powerful stuff you can have in a comic.
Number 7. Animal Man. Thanks to an encounter with some rather strange aliens, Bernard Buddy Baker gained access to the morphogenic field, otherwise known as the Red. This field basically allows Buddy to absorb and use different attributes of nearby animals while still being a human. So, he has been able to move his eyes independently like a chameleon, he's been able to ram against a speeding car with the abilities of a rhino, he can fly by tapping into birds, he's regenerated a whole lost limb by tapping into an earthworm, gained the strength to lift a car by tapping into a spider, and he's ran at 75 miles per hour by adopting the abilities of an ant. But his abilities have done some even more surprising things, like, for example, when a villain cut Buddy off from any nearby animals, he took on the attributes of the bacteria inside that villain's body, allowing Animal Man to duplicate himself, and he can even tap into the attributes of extinct animals like dinosaurs, which has allowed him to punch out a T-Rex and survive being crashed into by a plane by borrowing the abilities of both a Stegosaurus and a rhino. And that's another thing, over time he's received power boosts that allow him to use multiple abilities at once, and then to even use the abilities of any animal in the universe, like when he used the power of a Sun Eater, which let him fly across the galaxy in an instant. He's even absorbed the powers of Crypto, Superman's superdog.
Number 6. Batgirl. Batgirl is Barbara Gordon, and while she actually did manage to join the JLA during her time as Oracle, Babs has never been a member of the team, to my knowledge, while using the Batgirl mantle. And honestly, if we potentially see Nightwing join up on the new League, it seems likely we could see Babs as well, who has been seen canoodling with Dick Grayson in his own Nightwing series recently. Batgirl is a member of the Bat family, the daughter of Commissioner Gordon and the protege of Batman, aka Bruce Wayne. And I also feel like she'd have some pretty useful skill sets when it comes to what she can offer the League. As Oracle in the New Earth continuity, she was part of the JLA for a while until Batman was off the team following the events of the Tower of Babel. However, in the Prime Earth continuity, she's only been a part of the Justice League United and the Justice League Reserves. So, yeah.
Number 5. Kongorilla. You remember the Tasmanian Devil. I said that heroes who turn into beasts are cool. William Glenn Morgan is actually cool. He can transfer his mind to a gorilla. He can also change size and has a healing factor. So what's the problem? For starters, he's called Kongorilla. Get it because he's a gorilla and he's from the Congo? Secondly, Congo Bill, yes that was his nickname, was part of a horrible Justice League run by James Robinson. Pile on top of that the fact that in said Justice League run, he was highly underutilized and was completely overshadowed by better named characters, and you've got a short-lived Justice League member who you ain't gonna find on pretty much anyone's favorite list.
Number 4. Green Lantern Joe Mullein. While Guy Gardner, Hal Jordan, John Stewart, and Kyle Rayner have been on the Justice League, and I think Jessica Cruz has as well, we've yet to see Joe Mullein make it onto the main continuity team. Sure, she was on the supposed future team in Future State, but since that isn't really happening now and is relegated more as a potential future and alternate reality than a likely one for us, we don't have her yet there. John actually did ask Joe to join his proposed Justice League roster recently, but she was too busy to accept that offer. Here's hoping she gets less busy out in space soon so that she can actually join up. After the amazing series that was Far Sector, I need more Lantern Mullein in my mainstream comics. Please, give me more Mullein.
Number 3. Black Adam. Whether you like it or hate it, Black Adam has been part of the Justice League. Black Adam has essentially the same base power that is possessed by Shazam, who made part 1 of this list, but for Black Adam, his ideologies and ruthless nature mean that he is simply much more capable than Shazam because he does not hold himself back. All we have to do to see how capable Black Adam is to take a peek at 2007's World War III event, or as I like to call it, Black Adam versus literally everyone. Black Adam single-handedly goes up against, beats the snot out of, and even takes the life of some of the combined forces of the JSA, the JLA, Captain Marvel, China's Great 10, the Phantom Stranger, Martian Manhunter, Power Girl, Wonder Woman, Stargirl, Plastic Man, Jay Garrick, several Green Lanterns, and more, all at the same time. And almost no one anyone can take him down for the whole run of the comic. It's absolutely insane. Now, as for his whole inclusion in the Justice League, he was officially a member, but he also wasn't exactly good, which he never really is. We can discuss in the comments, but he is easily one of the strongest people to ever be a part of the Justice League.
Number 2, Power Girl. Power Girl has been on a lot of teams over her time in the comics, but one team she has never been a member of that I would love to see her on is the Justice League. I know she's technically from an alt universe hailing from Earth 2, but that doesn't stop me from loving her as much as I love any other main continuity heroes who are also badass. In fact, don't tell Supergirl, but I actually prefer the alternate Kara of Power Girl to the main continuity counterpart. Sorry, Supergirl. Power Girl is often known for being a member of the Justice Society of America and has even been a part of Fringe League teams like Justice League Europe and Justice League Task Force, but no main league for her. She can even bring her cat Stinky along if she wants. I would not mind. Bring Stinky. Number 1, Nightwing. Dick Grayson is a character who has served on the Justice League following the Blackest Night event, but that was way back in the New Earth continuity. And even then, that wasn't Dick Grayson as Nightwing on the team, it was Grayson as Batman. And this is Prime Earth now, and we still have yet to see Nightwing join the JLA. Now that Batman is gone following the death of the Justice League in Justice League issue number 75, it would be really cool to see Nightwing follow in his mentor's footsteps and even become the leader of the Justice League. This is implied at the end of Dark Crisis issue number 1 by Black Adam, or at least the inclusion, if not leadership, of Nightwing on the future team. But will it happen? Well, we hope so.